motion graphics tutorial. My name is Jesse, and this video we're going to go over creating intros and using light effects in Camtasia, another Getting Creative with Camtasia series. So here's an example of something I put together, kind of introducing the logo at the start, goes off, and then you have your title or your website. And then again, you can have it, fade into the rest of your video, or have it fade off to black, and then, use that and bring it into whatever software you want. But this whole thing was done just in Camtasia. And here's another example of just layering a couple of the effects on top of each other with the transition as well as text. Let's blow it up a bit. That's a little bit choppy. It'll play smooth once it's rendered out. So again, you have your text appear, have maybe the bottom fade on. You can even add more text, you can change colors. Have the flares fly across screen when you want things to appear or disappear. It's kind of a neat look. So, I'm going to go ahead and just delete some of these. Now I'll leave the tracks because I know I'm going to be using multiple tracks. And what I've done is imported the clips from the light effects and light flare transitions and whatnot from marketingmotiongraphics.com. So what we have here is there's the flare transitions, which are good for transitioning, between videos and between or having logos appear on and off. Light reveals and transitions are pretty much the same. They'll have some of the transitions, but they also have main backgrounds that you can use that similar to like these ones right here, for example. And they can be looped as backgrounds, but they're perfect for having the start of the of a logo or of a text or intro to something. Intro to your tutorials. I actually use one of these. It might be this one that I'm using for the intro to these videos that I'm creating, the video tutorials. And they all vary differently. This one has kind of a center light that glows, so you can have your logo zoom in. So for this, I'm going to bring in, there's also light motion too. This one has a lot of colors going on. And it changes in between, I think it changes 3 times. So right about here, where the light goes across the screen, that's where you change your text and have something else come in. And again, change it again. So maybe we'll use this one as an example, just to show you what I mean. And I'll use it as an announcement or a promo video for a new piece of software, say that's on my affiliate site, or say that's a new software collection that I've released. So now that we have that in the background, I think it runs about 15 seconds long. And if you want to go even longer, you can just duplicate it and have it play again. So when it fades off there, you have maybe about here, you have it appear again. So it looks almost seamless. It's all how you adjust the clip lengths. You can have it fade off and have the other one on top of it and have it fade in. I'll show you how you can do that and extend some of these clips at certain points. Like this one, say you like that, but you want those lines to stay like that and just kind of hover. I'll show you how we can do that. First off, I'm going to find out where I want my text, which would be right about here at this point. I'm just going to zoom in. Oops. I'll drop a text layer on. Show fonts. Now here are some of the favorites that I've used in the past. it saves them in every Camtasia project that I start. And so how you do that is if I pick a font that I like Impact here, click on the little settings wheel, add to favorites, and then that font, including the color, the size, typeface, will be saved. So every time I go to favorites, there it is. I just have to click on it, and it's instantly done. This one I'm going to make a little bit brighter, because after the flares come on, just move that, it goes dark. And then again, you can add, stroke. You can add a drop shadow if you want. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm actually going to make it a bit bigger. I'm actually going to change that font as well. Oops. I'm going to go all caps as well. Okay. Then we can move it around, maybe just above these lines. And that snapping, if you don't want that on, because say you just want to adjust it just a little bit, but it's preventing you from doing so, if you go up to View, Disable Snapping, and then you're able just to make small incremental adjustments. I like to keep it on for the most part, unless I'm really moving with text and trying to align things. So we want the text to fade on, so it doesn't just kind of pop on the screen. Transitions, drag it down on the clip, and then, oops. If you click on the little box that we just created there, it'll turn yellow. Oops. I'm just going to shorten the fade, just until you're happy with it, and that looks good. Let it play for a few seconds. Now you can just time it with the light motion here. Again, if you want to shorten that, say you want introducing to be really quick, and have the light change right here. If you hold Shift while you're on that clip and drag until it changes here, you can cut this whole section out by right-clicking, delete range, and then we'll just drag this up until it touches. There you go. So just pretty much just shorten the clip. And you can do the same if you want to extend the clip. So we'll say for the next one, changes here. Now you can have that fade off. Just like so. You don't even see it disappear. And then a new one will come on, right behind it. So what you can do, since we're only using text on one layer, I would just copy, paste it right behind it, which is fine. Then you have the next one up here. Oops, I wanted all caps again. Now this is going to be 2 lines. So what I want to do, I'm going to text, I'm going to align it in the center. So when I hit return, oops, creates a new line. Now, it's not letting me see the other part of this text. See how it's kind of cut off. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I think because you're choosing certain texts, and when you make them certain sizes, if I make this really small, you'll see there it appears. So what you can do is, have it that size and then scale it up to the size you want. It's kind of one way around that. if you ever noticed your text is kind of disappearing or getting cut off. I've noticed it only with certain text that I choose from my, my system fonts on my computer. And you can still edit it the same. But actually, I don't want to do that. I just kind of wanted to show you that example. Oops. So again, I'm just going to scale it down. Now another tip, if I'm scaling, it keeps it in proportion. If I hold Shift, then you can change the proportion if you want. If you want to stretch it or make it different sizes. Otherwise, it'll stay in proportion. This is pretty plain text. You can maybe add a drop shadow to it or something, or bring in text from Photoshop is another good idea. Now what you want to do is save it as a PNG so you don't have the background, so it'll look just like this. You won't have the white block. You don't want to bring in JPEGs because they will automatically flatten the image and it'll be stuck on a white background. Then you have the white box around it. So always recommend saving it as a PNG, which is a portable network graphic. And you get high quality, just like a high quality JPEG, and you don't have any of the backgrounds on there. And I'll show you an example when I bring in the logo at the end, what it'll look like. And you can do the same with text. You can create PNGs in tons of software too. I'm sure GIMP does it, as well as Photoshop Elements. You just want to choose the Save As feature and save it as a PNG. Or even if it doesn't have PNG, GIF is another one that doesn't have the background, or doesn't save the background, so it kind of keeps the transparency. And also when you're saving it as a PNG, you want to make sure that the background layer is turned off, so you're saving it without the background. So that comes on. Now it fades off. That's as long as we want it, but yet this is too long. This doesn't change until here. So again, what we'll do, let's say we only want it here. I'm going to hold Shift till about here, delete it, bring it up, there we go. I'm going to copy that, paste it, oops. Now again, I'm just kind of putting in random text here, just to make it sound cool. Again, it's a little big, so we'll do that. Let's say we want to add another element on here. I'll show you how we can extend it. Now these ones are from the Light Streaks collection. So we have the flat renders, which are just on a flat background, smaller file sizes, and then there's the pre-keyed, which you can drag over any background. And you'll see it creates a new little layer there. So this animates off pretty quick. So we'll have this play. Let's have this actually just underneath the text. So I want to shorten it a bit. There, so that flash comes on. Now if I move it up, you're going to see that you're going to have the line, because it is a clip at 1280 by 720, so it fits the canvas, but it's also got the glow from the flare on it, so you're going to see that line around the footage, around the square. Now, unless you're using After Effects or something that allows you to make a mask around it, you can kind of fade the edges. You're going to be left with the hard lines. So what you can do is maybe just pull it a bit bigger if you want to move it up, is one way, or adjust the colors and effects that might help fade the line out. Actually, I want this text. I'll say I have it down here. So it fades on. No, maybe we don't want it there. And we can adjust this color too. If I don't want that blue, oops, go to Filters, Colorize, drag it on the clip. Now you'll see it already changed the color. So we want it the light green. And then just adjust the saturation. If you want it blue, purple, pink. This amount will adjust the intensity. We'll have that fade off. Or we can have it, zoom at the screen if we want. Actually, sorry, it zooms out. We want to zoom in. Yeah, it zooms back out, so that won't work very well. We'll just have it fade off. Again, if we want to extend this a bit more, what we'll do, hold Shift, we'll just take a chunk of it. You can copy that, click off the track, paste, and you have your own little clip. Right? And you can just kind of keep repeating that over and over if you want. Just copy, paste, put it back to back, and it kind of creates a loop. Now if you want this to kind of mesh in with this, if we just put it back to back, see how that fades off, then it kind of snaps back on. Doesn't look very natural. Now we can just bring this back to pretty much where we took this clip from, and actually that works perfect. Then we can extend this if we want. Oops. What you can do, another thing, is drag it above the clip that you're working with. If it doesn't work well back to back, what you want to do then is just put a fade. You kind of want to transition the top one over top of this one, so when this disappears, this is full. So it kind of fades on, and you'll notice that differently with other clips that kind of don't go back to back very well. Put it above it, put a fade on it, and it'll kind of fade in and take over. And then you can just duplicate it without the fade and have it loop. Like so. So we want this to keep going. I've already copied it. Now this one I'll let it fade off. It's fine. But I changed my mind. Say I want to keep it. Now this is an example where, say I remove that fade. If I put it back to back, you'll see it kind of jump. Because it's backtracking the animation, because the animation is constantly moving. So what we'll try and do here is put a fade on it and kind of merge them together, just so it's less obvious, I guess. See how they kind of merge in between each other? Maybe the longer you make this, the less obvious it'll be. Put that back to back. Let's see how that works. Again, we're going to have to step it above it. Like so. Now it's kind of creating like a conveyor belt type look. Let's see how we can make this longer. Right, the bigger the clip you take, the more versatility you have or flexibility you have with it. So we can have this one kind of fade in there, and it'll work a little bit better. And again, you're going to have other things to look at. So while we have that, in the background, you don't want this to be the emphasis. I'm going to have text up here. I'm going to have something else. So people are really going to focus their eyes on the content and not realize that this is, kind of looping. The more seamless, the better you can make it look. Obviously, the better. But, don't worry about getting it 100% perfect because people aren't even going to really notice. And you can notice that in a lot of TV commercials or movies you watch, where you can see, I tend to pick things apart and see how they're done and see how, you can notice kind of different loops and inconsistencies that are actually out there, but you're just not paying attention to them. So anyway, so like that. So right about the text fades off, I want to have my graphic come on. So what I'm going to do is import one of my boxes. Oops. Now this again is a PNG. So you can see there's no background on it, so I can bring it in. Oops. Scale it up. And again, when you're using graphics and video, it's all 72 pixels per inch. You don't want to bring in anything that's 300 or 240 pixels per inch because there's no point really. It's a screen graphic, just like a website. Everything, even television, is all 72 pixels. What changes is the actual resolution, the whole dimension, the size of the actual canvas. Any graphics or text or objects you bring in, 72 pixels, just size them as big as you want, like 1280 by 720 or 1900 wide or 1600 wide and then you can bring them in full size at 72 pixels and adjust them down if you want. If you bring in a small graphic, you blow it up, you'll lose some resolution. But if you bring in a big graphic, scale it down, you're going to have a nice crisp resolution. Okay. So with that said, treat this image just like you would any kind of clip or animation. I'll just put a fade on it. Oops. Now again, the shadow here, you're seeing it's kind of cut off, which is just, I could go back in and kind of clean that up a bit, but it's not a big deal for this. And then maybe I'll have some more text here announcing the product or a logo. I think I might have one. They're all JPEGs though. So say, I'll show you an example. Say I bring in a JPEG here. Now this is just a banner. Well, that's not a good example. I'll bring in a button here. So you have the white box. That doesn't look so good. I see a lot of people using these. When they bring in images, you'll see the background, the white. If that was cut out, it would look a lot better. So I'll show you quickly how to do that in Photoshop. So if we have this image, or say you take any image from the internet, if you're in Photoshop Elements or Photoshop or GIMP or something, to remove the background, you want to select it. I'm using the selection tool. Then I'm just going to invert the layer. Whoops. And then you hit Command J or create its own layer, a new layer, and it brings it on its own background. Now see the checkered pattern there? You want to delete this. You don't want to put any background on it. The fact that you see that and there's only the one layer, That's what you want. And then Command Shift S or save as a PNG. Now, if I have this as CMYK, I won't be able to save it as a PNG. TIFF is another thing that saves the layers, but it'll make a large file size. And I'm not sure if it's as versatile as a PNG graphic as far as software compatibility. You always want everything as RGB anyway with video, with web and video. So RGB, save as PNG, put it on the desktop, done. Okay, we'll go back in here, delete this, don't want that, import what we just created. Now you'll see the little bit of white on there because I didn't go in and clean it up, but you get the idea. Now if that was gone, then it would look good. I keep moving this around. So anyway, we'll just end it here. We'll have our text. Go down to recently used or favorites. Oops, you have to be selected. I'm double clicking to edit that, obviously. There. Something like that. Now we want to have maybe a little transition, or another cool thing you can do with the light effects. Whoops, we'll go back to the media. We'll import one of the transitions. We'll pick, say, this one. This one's kind of a horizontal. We'll drag it over top. So it'll cover the whole screen, but it'll be perfect for having the text or even just the whole object appear. So maybe we'll do this. Now I've clicked on that. It's yellow, so I can delete the fade without deleting the object. And we'll have the transition right about there. And so I'd say this is when we want. Now you can also put a fade on here just to make it, kind of appear even better. But it happens so quick that you won't even really notice. Now again, it's a little sluggish here in Camtasia, but you export it. It'll seem perfect. So meet about here. And then you can play around with these, and you'll get, there's so many different ways you can combine them. Say I can add like 3 or 4 transitions just to make it even more bright and powerful. Change the colors, modify them, add a glow to them. You can get some cool effects. But it's just a simple way to add, lens effects and flares as a background. Or we can change this up completely, and instead of this light motion background, let's bring in this one. Have it fade on from black. Maybe change the font color. And then again, for the text, you can have it just fade nicely, or bring in the transitions and have it flare in between. So the transitions from text is like a quick flash, poof, or lens flare or something. I would definitely make this black. And then again, take a section, copy, paste, and you can extend these backgrounds as long as you want. Just have them fade into each other. Add the lens effects over top, and get so many different unique looks. Combine them, mash them together, and you can create multiple intros. So that's the end of this video. Hope you guys have fun with these, and if you have any questions, feel free to visit the website, marketingmotiongraphics.com, and visit the support page, send me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Take care.